This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex, and this is the Ramble. We go until midnight tonight from New York, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Larry.
How's it going, friend?
I'm going. How's everything in your life?
Oh, I just glad that the Super Bowl is over. It's become I can't take it anymore. I don't know. It used to be kind of a fun event, and now it's just has there been a good advertisement in years? I don't. You used to talk about ads after the Super Bowl. I don't hear anything anymore.
Well, occasionally there's one or two that are kind of good. You know, I looked at a bunch of them yesterday because I don't watch the game, obviously.
Right.
And they just seemed, a lot of them seemed rather just normal, you know. But there were a few that were pretty good, but they felt that the only way that you could get real juice out of something is if you put some kind of star in the commercial, you know, maybe even as just a cameo. So, you know, like they used Elton John as a cameo, and they used what's her name, Jennifer Lopez as a cameo. But you know, I never followed the Super Bowl. I never cared about it. I'm a guy who cares so little about it that if I do go to a Super Bowl party and they do have people join a pool or something to win a prize at the end of the Super Bowl, I always won. And everybody felt, you won? How can you win?
That's what always happens.
Yeah. And I remember there was a Super Bowl being played at Stanford one year.
That was 1985.
I assume you're right. I never challenge you. You could be bullshitting us on all these dates and things you come up with.
No, that was in fact, it was the 49ers. They beat Miami.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so, like I care. But the Today Show came up to interview me as the only guy in San Francisco who didn't care about the Super Bowl. And they said, why don't you like? What do you have against the Super Bowl? I said, I have nothing against the Super Bowl. I just don't understand football, and the game never appealed to me. And they said, so what do you do on Super Bowl Sunday? I said, I have sex with all the wives whose husbands are watching it. And I don't know if they ever ran it.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Super Bowl was supposed to be played at Candlestick Park, but it was in such a mess. They actually moved it down to Stanford at the last minute.
Stanford's a rather small venue, isn't it, for football?
It was a big stadium, but it was also a dump. So yeah, it was not a good Super Bowl for many reasons.
But now they hold it in places like Arizona and crap like that, you know. So
yeah, and the only football game I've been to in my life was a Super Bowl. My friend won a trip for two to the Super Bowl in 1980. So I went to that.
I wonder how much a ticket to that Super Bowl cost.
I had the ticket. They were like, I think, $28.
Yeah, you know what they are now?
I heard like $8,000.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
And a commercial spot is for half a minute is $7 million.
I think maybe for a minute is $7 million. I'm not.
I thought it said 30 seconds.
Maybe 30. It could be right. You could be right. There are a bunch of people who bought ads for Jesus on this Super Bowl.
No, I heard about that.
And they bought two of them. Cost them $14 million. You know, what could these wonderful Christians have done with $14 million to help, like, poor people? You know, the kind of people that Jesus would have wanted you to spend the money on? Just amazes me. Just amazes me. But anyway, so, whatever. So.
Well, it is amazing how that is just probably the biggest hype thing in the history of the media, that just this one football game becomes this insane.
It doesn't make much sense to me, but, I just she cared about it. In fact, I didn't watch it this year at all. Marjorie watched, I think, the first half, and then Rihanna came on and she said, I can't stand this, so she then went and watched a movie or something for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know that I wanted to see Rihanna. I don't know if I want to see a pregnant woman jump up and down.
Yeah, who needs that?
Yeah, I don't know. She's kind of late in her pregnancy, in her, what do they call it?
Trimester.
She probably didn't like her third trimester. Or there is no such thing as a third trimester. There's only a trimester. They say somebody's in their third trimester, and I'm going, no, wait a minute. They're in their trimester because it's already a trimester is third. Okay, don't you understand that? Learn the English language. So anyway, so that was that, But it never appealed to me ever. And football appealed to me less. I mean, if I do like a sport, and it's not one I follow, okay, I just like it, it's baseball. I love the history of baseball. I love the lore and legends of baseball, the stories surrounding it, things like that. Baseball has a really romantic and wonderful place in history. And it's a great social occasion. You go out to the park, you eat hot dogs, you drink beer, you're there with friends, you talk a lot to each other, you converse. Occasionally, just very occasionally, something exciting happens out on the field, and then you're back to talking to each other again and eating hot dogs and drinking beer, right?
Yeah, and it's I don't know how the game's going to survive. It's so slow paced. I don't know if it appeals to young people at all.
Well, a few years ago, when it was on radio, they made it exciting just by embellishing it. Okay,
someone says that baseball is one of the few games that it actually sounds better on radio than watching it on TV.
Well, let me tell you about the guy I worked for. His name was Gordon McClendon. And he owned radio stations, and he had started out in the business by starting a thing he called the Liberty Radio Network. And he was known as the Old Scotchman. And he would sit in a studio in Dallas, Texas, and do the play-by-play for a game that was happening like in Cleveland. All right? And he had a sound effects guy there. And the sound effects guy would have the crowd noises and the sound of the bat cracking and so on. And then all he had to get were line scores from the from the place, the other place. So he had a phone line there, and the guy would feed him line scores, and he would just embellish the game. He'd make up the excitement of the game.
He'd recreate it.
And supposedly people, given the choice of the two coverages of the games, would rather listen to his because it was more exciting. So much so that eventually baseball did a thing where they, at the end of their broadcast, they say, any rebroadcast, or, you know the next word, don't you?
Or
recreation.
Recreate, right? That was it. They always
of
put
this
that on
of this game
after every game.
Is purely prohibited by the the guy who heads up baseball, the commissioner of baseball. That was because of what Gordon McClendon had done. They wanted to just take the chair out from under him, but he was very successful with that, and his games were more popular than the actual games. So but it was a radio game. And the trouble with baseball and what it suffered is that when television came in, all of a sudden, football, which had been relegated to basically just a dumb sport that they played in colleges, and I think there were some professional teams out there, but nobody really paid attention to them. I mean, if you wanted to pay attention to them, it's because you went to UCLA and UCLA was having a game, and so you rooted for your home team. But football all of a sudden became this phenomenon because it looked great on television. It was made for television. All the bumping and the hitting and the jumping and the thing. Meanwhile, baseball, bunch of guys wearing kind of flannel suits, running bases, was not exciting visually. However, I had a friend of mine who was she went out and did, she would set up TV crews and so on to do games. And she would do football games, she would do baseball games, and then she would order up the cameras and, where everything would be for shooting it and so on. And she said to me, you know what game takes the most cameras? And I said, football? Because I figured football, it's an exciting sport. A lot of stuff's happening. She said, no, baseball, because you don't know where that ball's going to go. So you got to have more cameras out there for coverage than you do to football, where really logically you only need like 2 cameras following the action, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Although today they do things like, they have cameras overhead and they have the sky cam and they do all of that crap. But in those days, it was just, you needed more cameras to do baseball than football. So, little education, folks.
I think they tried the first baseball game. They tried, I think it was televised in Brooklyn in the late 30s. One of the dawn of TV. I think they tried that one.
It had to be in the 40s because the television didn't come in till right after the war, and the reason it came in after the war is they were ready to launch it in I think when I was born, 1939, 1940. There was a World's Fair where they had television going out live, but there were no sets out there to watch it. And they decided that the next year they would start launching television. But then the war came along and everything had to be pushed towards the war effort, and you couldn't use any resources which would eat up resources you needed for the war effort. So it wasn't until right after the war that television came out. So 1948, 47, 48 is when television first happened, So. Did you know that?
I did not. No, I think Ronald Reagan, one of his first jobs was recreating baseball games on the radio.
Right. He was at what was the station?
It was in Iowa, I think.
What?
It was in Iowa.
Iowa. I'm trying to remember the name of the. I'm trying to remember the name of the station. My mind's going. My mind is absolutely going.
The story was one of the games was the line broke down. They're getting information, so he just had to. He kept making. I think he said there was 19 foul balls in a row or something. Another foul.
Yeah. He was a broadcaster.
Yeah.
So that'd be a good trivia question. Name the only broadcaster that ever became a president of the United States.
That would be, yeah.
Ronald Reagan. I mean, most people don't think of him as a broadcaster because he was an actor, but whatever.
And how good an actor was he?
Yeah. But, I just never, I've told this 8 billion times I say it, I, to this day, do not know how football is played. I don't understand the game. I watch it, and it makes no sense to me. And it's been that way all my life. And maybe it's that I just don't care to learn.
Well, that's the way I am. If something doesn't interest me, I really don't understand it. I think my mind shuts off to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like computers. I can't do anything with them.
Well, somebody said to me, why are you so good at computers? And I said, because I like computers, And I learned a lot from working computers. So, and
when was your first encounter with computers?
My first my first encounter with a computer was I was working at doing Midnight Blue at Screw Magazine's offices, and Al Goldstein was a gadget nut, and he would buy everything under the sun. And one of the things he bought was an Apple computer, one of the old, real early Apple II computers.
Like in the 70s?
Yeah, and I had no idea how that thing worked. Because you had to have some programming sense. You know, there were programs you could kind of feed into it using a floppy disk, but I didn't understand all of that. But then he got an Atari, and Atari used to put out the games, but they then built a console with a keyboard, and it was a full-fledged computer. It had only 40 characters across the screen instead of 80, but it was a full-blown computer. And I started playing with that because I liked the games on it. You could put a cartridge in there and play a game, or you could run it as a computer. So that was my first real encounter. Those two things were my first encounter with a computer. It wasn't until I got to California and that my business manager decided I owned a Atari computer, and one day somebody gave me a bootleg of a program called VisiCalc, and this was a spreadsheet program. So I brought Gary over and I had him look at it, and he said, "My God, this is a spreadsheet, and look what I can do if I do this and I do that and do that. It adds up all the numbers." You know, and he saw the future in it because he was doing everything by hand, you know, writing in numbers and then adding them all up, you know, and doing that whole process. So we then decided, well, we'll go out and buy bigger computers. And we both went out and bought IBM computers at $3,000 a piece. And he never looked back. You know, that program, VisiCalc, changed his life. And it changed a lot of people's lives, you know, what computers could do. And so I got very involved with computers, and ultimately I got into doing video with computers. I had friends who invented a thing called the video toaster, which was a video switcher. I got into all of it. That's how I got into computers.
Okay.
You know. But it was also born out of my other love, which was kind of like I had a Bolex 8mm camera, a really expensive camera, and I would try to shoot little movies and edit them, you know. So when video came in and computers could edit them, it's a whole different game, you know. So that's my story. So when did you first get to love computers?
Well, the first year I did stand-up, 81, I do remember, maybe it was IBM, they came out with there's a lot of fanfare, they came out with a personal computer, and I recall it didn't really do that well. It seemed like it was good for small businesses for inventory and things like that, and then someone told me that personal computers really didn't catch on until the Internet got going.
Well, people didn't buy them in great numbers, but you know, they were popular before the Internet became big. I mean, the Internet, oddly enough, was first created, I think, in 1972, and it was meant for hospitals, educational institutions, and so on to share information with each other. And as years went on, people kind of co-opted it because, hey, it was out there, they could use it. And like everything else, it was started by the government, but it was co-opted by the people. You know, another thing that was completely governmental, and it still really is what do you call it? When the big stuff up in the sky that you send stuff to and tells you where you are, positioning devices. Well, it was up there. It was, you know, it had been working for a long time. It's just that all of a sudden somebody who was in the private sector said, hey, well, we can use it too. It's up there.
Yeah.
and GPS. And so everybody started going on to these governmental GPS satellites. And I remember there was a time when, oh God, you know what they're doing here? They just brought the platform up to work on the bricks in my apartment. So if you start hearing noise, that's what it is, folks. Anyway, but people co-opted the GPS system. And so the government, to screw around with you, I remember they did this for a while because I had an early GPS in my car. They would throw the GPS off by about 300 yards. So if you wanted to pull up to a particular address, you weren't really at that address. You were like down the street somewhere. But they gave up on that and just decided to let the public use it as well. But all those satellites up there, all the GPS satellites, as far as I know to this day, are government satellites. But the GPS changed everything.
Yeah, so what year do you think that was when you had the GPS?
When did I get the first GPS? Well, let's see here. I was at Sirius, and I had come back. Yeah, I came back from Florida. That would be 1990, maybe 1991. Yeah, and then I bought my first car with a GPS in it, or leased it actually, because I kept my other car. So I leased it, and that was the first time I actually had a GPS in a car. But I had GPS prior to that because there was a program you could have where you had this thing and you hooked it up to your computer, and I had a portable computer, and then you could then have it go get the GPS signals, and then you could then see where things were and how to get from one place to another. But I had to have this portable computer in the car to do it. So that was the first GPS I actually had. Is this interesting?
Yeah, you're always like the first one to get something like that.
Is this interesting by any chance?
It is to me. I don't know if it's anyone else cares about it, but I like to hear about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really, went crazy with computers and everything. I loved them. Just loved them. I loved what they could do. I loved the way I could edit video where I didn't have to. The ability to edit video was really a task. You had to use two machines. You had to sync them up with each other. You then had to push an edit button to make an edit. I mean, it was a very long, laborious process. And the minute computers came in, editing video was simple. I mean, I can go out and take a whole bunch of footage and come back here and edit it within a half hour because I'm just taking, cuts and moving them back and forth to each other and making a final product. It's changed everything. GPS changed everything. I remember I used to like to say to people, well, I'm going to come up to over to your house, and they say, you want directions? I said, no, you don't have to give me directions. And they wouldn't understand what I was telling them. Because all I had to do was put it in the GPS, and it would just tell me where to go. That's it. That changed everything.
Yes.
There were these
Even
things.
I have a GPS.
Yeah, and well, you see, you use a computer, right? See?
Uh-huh.
Perfect example. Did you get it with a GPS?
No, I just someone gave me a GPS for the car, and it.
Yeah.
Well, I will say a couple of times you punch in an address that they can't find it for some reason.
I had once I was using my GPS, and I was in downtown San Francisco, and I said, I just want to have to take me out to my home in the marina. So I programmed my address in for the marina, and now it takes me through every bad neighborhood you could possibly go through. And I'm thinking, did somebody program this who had his friends waiting in those neighborhoods to jump cars that were using their GPS? I was just thinking, don't do that. That's terrible. That's horrible. It's a horrible neighborhood. Why does it make me go here when I could have just gone up, Van Ness and not had to put up with the, the poor neighborhoods. So anyway, but GPS changed everything. People are spoiled. People are getting too used to computers, and I could talk to you.
They don't know how to use maps anymore.
Yeah, but I could talk to you about that next time. But why don't we make that next time and bring this to a close?
We shall.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there ever was a great American comic
It's not me.
who will never be recognized in the books of great American comics. No, really, I'm serious. It's Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Alex.
This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network, now in its 8th year of talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Bubs. I appreciate it, Bubs. That's nice, Bubs. See you next week, Bubs. Love Bubs. Everybody loves Bubs. You can't help but love Bubs. Anyway, let me see here. Am I ready to go? Oh, yeah. A little lightheaded tonight, so I better drink the coffee. So how are all of you today? How's it going? I'm on myself. I got something I want to talk about, but I'll wait till I get people in here. We don't have that many people waiting, but they're quality people, however, the people who are waiting. And let me see here. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. You notice that, let me see here. Over there, that's, I don't know how, it's hard to do this, is Kevin. And down there is Charlie, and down there is Josh.
Which one's the secret square?
What? Which one's the secret square? Well, let's see here. Is there some? Oh, here comes Jeff Stein. Okay, I'll admit Jeff Stein.
Let's make Jeff the secret square.
We'll make Jeff the secret square. But anyway, how are you all doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah? Wait a minute, that was kind of a... Wait a minute. Counting in binary is as easy as 011011.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a new one.
Yeah, you can tell it's a new one. It looks fresh,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can even still see the fold marks in it, But anyway, how are you all doing? Doing fine? Josh, how's your new job doing?
Yeah, so far good.
Yeah, I mean, you're happy with it? Are you glad you made the decision?
Oh, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Because a lot of times you have doubts about whether you made the right decision or not, and then after a while you get used to it and you go, yeah, I guess I did,
Yeah, well, I mean, there was some, difficulty, but changing things as much,
Well, I mean, was it a learning curve on your part?
Well, I'll have to learn stuff for a while. I mean, it was just very odd, for a little bit there, I didn't know anyone or anything. I didn't have any connections that got me into there or anything. So, a little difficult, and I don't really like meeting new people and things like that. But I guess it was just strange, where I came from. I'd been there a very long time, and I was very ingrained. And I mean, there was almost nothing you could ask that I couldn't answer. It was difficult to go somewhere where I didn't know the answer to anything.
Yeah.
So.
But also, I mean, when you work someplace, how long do you work at the other place?
I was there over 10 years, and I'd gone in there as a contractor for a few years before that. So really hadn't had any other kind of job for a decade.
Businesses are kind of like families in a way. After a while, you're used to working with all those people you were working with, and now you're working with a whole new bunch of people. And so it kind of, it's not easy, doing that kind of change. I've had
you're right.
From time to time. I mean, when I first went to Live 105 in San Francisco, I didn't go into the station at all because they didn't want anybody to know yet that I had been hired and that I was going to be doing the show the following Monday. So I didn't get to go into it till about a day before the show was supposed to start. And this station, that when I went into it, was a dump. I mean, it was just right now. You know what it is now? It's Twitter. But then it was our radio station in the basement of what is the Twitter building, or the first floor of the Twitter building. And I went in there, and I mean, this place was a dump. It was so bad, they had pigeons that came from the outside, and they got in through this little hole in the ceiling, and then they would drop poop on our program director's desk all day long.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is what a dump it was. And I immediately got on the phone to my business manager, and I said, I can't do this. I just can't do this. And the station was really small, and it was tiny, and the room I was in we had a studio audience, but there were like 8 people. That's all we could fit in there. And I just said to him, I don't know if I can do this, you know. But somehow I went in that Monday, and everybody was so nice, and I was having so much fun with it that it worked, you know. But when I initially went in there, I said, no way, I don't want to go in Monday. I'm sorry, I can't do this. You know?
That's like with me.
Yeah, what?
That was like with me when they worked at A&P. I got held up on a Friday
This
night.
isn't working a radio station. Isn't like working at A&P for crying out loud.
But you know what it was when I got held up? I'll never forget it. The cops came in, and the first thing actually was he black and white, and he was white because I only saw his hands. And then the camera was broke, Charlie, in the back, so they couldn't even get footage. So they yelled at the guy got hit with fines.
Is anybody following this?
Yeah, I didn't want to go to work Monday, but my mother told me to quit that after that if they found them. I didn't. I actually wound up leaving it. Well, I was making $4 an hour. I almost got killed for like nothing, really.
Anybody?
They were overpaying.
So Alex,
Wow.
K-San was kind of like that too, wasn't it?
What?
K-San was kind of like that too. They were in a little closet.
Well, that became the Quake, I think. No, it didn't. No. They were in a closet too, but I don't know. I never went over there.
Yeah.
I never went over there. So.
Yeah, it was kind of small too.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, radio stations can be dumps. They don't have to be good looking because
nobody cares.
It's just radio. You know, it's just audio. But
I remember their elevator was pretty shitty.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I remember, where was it? I think it was originally, if I'm not mistaken, it was in like just a storefront.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, radio stations, some of them are dumps. Some of them are fairly nice, you know. I mean, the one I worked at.
I used to go to, I used to deliver a route out there and then go to Warner Brothers Records every day.
Oh, okay.
Out of Ghirardelli.
Yeah.
Ghirardelli Square. They had a nice little place out there.
Yeah. When I worked in Houston, Texas, the place we worked was its own building, you know. Yeah. And it had a pond in the middle of it.
Well, that's nice.
Little pond, and they had koi fish in there. You know, so I mean, sometimes you work a nice place, and other times it's an actual bona fide dump.
Yeah.
You know how much
Warner
Brothers
was nice. They had a lot of nice people that worked there too. I picked up documents from them every day.
Oh, okay. What were you going to say, Brian? What was your?
You know how much koi fish are now?
Oh, they're expensive. Oh, you can eat those? I didn't even know.
$5 a pound?
No, they're like $10,000 for like ones that are foot long.
Are you
Depends on the
kidding?
market. My friend has a big investment for koi, and my God, he shows me these fish, and they're.
I bet he doesn't.
So,
I bet he doesn't own any cats.
No.
Those are basically carp.
Yeah.
Fancy carp.
Are they fancy
Really
carp?
Crazy market. Crazy.
Who's the guy? I'm trying to think of the asshole who's a billionaire down in the East Bay, down in the South Bay.
Ellison.
Harlan.
Larry Ellison?
Larry Ellison, not Harlan Ellison.
Yeah.
Larry Ellison, and he had a big koi fish pond. He was big into koi fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but that was it. But
How do you make room
it's
for
funny, I
those,
said that asshole in the South Bay, and you all knew who he was immediately. You didn't even have
It
to.
was either him or Elon Musk, one
Well,
or the other.
no, Musk is a wonderfully wonderful social creature compared to Ellison. Ellison.
Yeah. There's a law for San Jose Airport.
Yeah,
No
just for him.
takeoff after or landings after 10 p.m. where you get fined. He doesn't care. He just pays the fine, comes in whenever he wants.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Yep, private jet.
He owned my friend's McLaren before my friend got it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
$20 million car. Must be nice.
$1 million car? I thought you had a
$20 million.
$20 million for a McLaren?
1996 F1. I started the car. He's one of the owners of the Warriors owns it now, but stayed in Woodside.
But isn't that what? Don't you own a McLaren? No.
Yeah, not $20 million.
We're staying over Brian.
I wouldn't be on this show if I had a $20 million car. See, I had a different friend.
Yeah.
Brian, you need a chef in the house?
I'll bet you any amount of money you got that Tony
What's that?
drank some coffee tonight.
I did, Alex. I made a whole pot of Mr. Claus.
Hey, you want to see the pictures he sent me?
I sent a picture of it in the
send it, Brian.
I'm drinking your coffee, Alan, the flavored one.
I haven't sent it in months, Alex.
I save it for special occasions. It's
All right.
You send him any more coffee, I'm not letting you on this program.
I haven't sent him any coffee.
That's my advice, Alex.
That's from Tony earlier.
Really?
Yeah, making coffee.
What is it?
You know, Tony, you could get one of those K-cup machines and like make a cup at a time.
My brother bought that, and he said, "Why don't you use it?" I says, "I hate it. I don't like Alex. It doesn't stay warm. I like to see the coffee perking down like that."
Sure it does. You make the cup, you drink it, and you go make another one. It stays warm.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the coffee dripping down like in the morning. And
The coffee drips down.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to see it like in the midst of coffee.
I
Like my
see
mother-
the coffee dripping
Really?
down from the K-cup, yes,
Yep. Yes.
into my cup.
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't? How old are you, Tony?
53, God.
53. I'm 83. If I can get used to a K-cup.
You know what I still have too, Alex? I still have an over-the-stove coffee pot that I bought on Amazon that perks.
Well, percolators were interesting. I like those.
I still have it. I'll break it out every now and then.
Yeah, I know. I bet you do.
I am breaking you know.
Along
Like
with spam and eggs, man, that goes good together.
I
to
know.
have a breakfast.
I'll be up till 3 tonight. I know that.
So anyway, I was watching a documentary with Marjorie tonight, and it was on that program. What's it? Oh God! Now my mind. See, that's what's happening in my mind these days.
I was watching a good one too before I.
Don't
that kid-
say anything. I'm trying to think of what it was.
I'm trying to. I'll try to read your mind. It's the coffee.
He's gonna mute you, Tony.
You're getting to be like Phil, Tony.
I know he's
everybody
rubbing
off.
off on me, Alan. It's a bad sign. Yeah, just mute me because I'm going to be all hopped up. I can see it.
Well, it was all about this program they've got that was made in Israel that can literally infect your phone and then find out everything about you and where you go and what you do and where you are and all of
Sounds
that.
like Frontline.
What was it called?
It sounds like a show I saw on Frontline.
Yeah. About what was the name of the program? I just watched it an hour ago, and I can't remember the name of the program now. But anyway, this program, every country that uses it denies using it. Okay,
Wasn't it done for Israel or something?
It was made. It's an Israeli product.
Okay, yeah.
And it's called oh God, what's the name of it? Okay, somebody will eventually put it up on the. No, nobody's in the chat room, so nobody's going to put it up on the chat.
Charlie.
That's me.
But anyway,
what do they do with the information? They for advertising?
well,
and
a good example was this is the way the Saudis killed Khashoggi.
Yeah.
They knew exactly where he was, when he was going to be somewhere. You know, they got into his phone. What happens is this thing drops a program into your phone, and then from then on, they say you're dead meat. You know, I mean, it just knows everything you're going to do. And they went to Khashoggi's wife and said, "Could you let us use your phone? We want to check it. We want to go into it and see if this program was placed in your phone too." And sure enough, it was. They found it in there. So this thing's not only being used for, I don't know, espionage and everything. It's been used to kill people. What do you got the name, right?
Pegasus.
Pegasus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pegasus.
I don't remember anything anymore. If it had happened 20 years ago, I'd remember Pegasus, okay? But anyway, and as I watched this, I just said, this is maybe the worst thing that's ever been invented.
Oh, I love the phone.
You know, it may be the worst thing ever invented. And what?
I think it's ingenious, really. I remember when you got it on Sirius. I love the phone.
You're not going to listen? You're not interested in why I think it's terrible?
I am.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
basically because, I mean, after seeing this documentary, I was going to turn my phone off. You know, I was even thinking about maybe dumping it in a toilet somewhere or throwing it out the window, because this thing you carry with you everywhere. And so if they want to go into this phone and then find out where you are and what you're doing and who you're talking to and when you're talking to them and when you're going to be somewhere, just that
And your phone doesn't even have to be turned on.
Right.
Yes, it doesn't have to be turned on. Marjorie said to me, well, you just, I guess, erase everything on the phone, right? Wrong. No, it's probably still there, that program. So, and Pegasus, they won't say what countries are using it. Everybody they interviewed denied it. You saw the thing, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Every country was denying it. We don't use it. You know, we deny ever using it.
And the company refuses to release the names.
And the company won't say either. The company started going bankrupt, though. People, I think, started to stop using them because the world got wise to Pegasus.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's something else out there, you know. And, and then you had Netanyahu saying, oh, well, we don't approve of this sort of thing. Bullshit. You know, are you going to tell me Israel doesn't use Pegasus? Hell, if you, what, Jeff?
You see what I got?
You got Apple Watch.
You got the Apple Watch? You're gonna love it.
I know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's easier to track you and kill you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll just go back to a regular watch and get rid of the phone and just become a total Luddite. You know.
Bubbles has it right.
Get a flip phone.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know. I mean, they might be able to go into those flip phones. I doubt it, however. I doubt it.
I doubt it. They don't track you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think you can track them, yeah. But I mean, like, I always know where Marjorie is.
That's because you have Find Friends on.
Yeah, Find My Friend.
Right.
And I turn it on her phone. She's like, I have a kid, and she's my daughter, and I'm tracking her to make sure she's where she is, so that when she comes home, I can say, oh, why weren't you at your girlfriend's place like you said you were going to be?
Or the doctor.
But no, I mean, it's just that, you know, we invent all these wonderful things, and I mean, these are wonderful things. And then we use them for every bad purpose we can possibly think of.
But isn't that every movie we grew up with? They always had something that was like this big thing, and then if it gets in the hands of evil, what's it going to do?
Well, my first really scary computer movie was Foreman the Colossus.
Yes, I remember
thing, whatever. Foreman the Colossus Project, I think it was called. Mm-hmm. And it's about this, they decided to keep people from having wars. They would install these computers which would prevent people from doing it. And eventually Colossus took over the world because you couldn't turn it off. Okay. And I thought that was a cautionary tale at the time, but you know, I think we've gotten to a point where we're not using this stuff for good stuff. We're doing it for bad stuff. And, you know, yeah, I love having my iPhone, but I'm playing into them inventing the bad stuff. You know, so I don't know. Call me an asshole. Call me a cab. What?
You know what I've been doing? Me and my brother went food shopping before, right? And I'm gonna tell you what this means. I left my phone home now. I've been leaving my phone home. He says, "You're not taking your iPhone?" I says, "No." I says, "I don't have to take it with me all the time." So I've been leaving it home now when we're going food shopping. Like, I don't bring it out with me all the time anymore.
Well, there's a
Leave it
reason.
at home.
I can leave my phone at home now. I have no problem leaving it at home because my watch will make calls.
Oh, you got the watch, yeah. Yeah, I don't have the watch.
You know.
Yeah.
so.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
because, it's like you said, Alex, 30, 40 years ago, I don't need to be connected to the grid 24/7, I feel. I mean, we did just fine in the 80s.
Well,
without
also you say, oh, this is social interaction. We have social networks and social programs and so on and so forth. It's really very unsociable because people, if you ever notice, like they're on the subway or they're at a dinner, they're doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even talking to each other anymore. They're just looking at their phone all the time. It's
but if you're on the subway, then at least you're not watching the guy jerk off in the corner.
And mind you, folks, if you're tuning in now and say, well, this is just some 83-year-old fart who's a Luddite, it's not true. I mean, if it weren't for people like me, you wouldn't be getting things like this because I was one of the first people to really promote them and say, hey, this is the future. And it fascinated me, all the technology and everything. But, it's gotten to the point where we're losing control of it. And when I saw this thing on Pegasus, I just went, and I knew this thing I had known this thing existed. I just didn't know to what extent they had found out its bad usages. And I watched this thing and I just, I went, I'm throwing my phone out. I don't want this. Charlie, you seem to disagree with me though, right?
No, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just have to carry my phone because I never know if my car's gonna break down or whatever, and I might need to call for help.
Well, okay.
I don't have a watch.
In the old days, your car broke down. What did you do?
I kept coins in the car so I could run to a payphone, which don't exist anymore.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
And make a phone call from there.
See, we've kind of painted ourselves into a corner, haven't we? They're running. I think the last cell phone in Manhattan went out of service a couple of years ago. Payphone. I'm out of it, folks. I have no memory left because of the medicine I take. So, anyway, let me see what else is happening. All these people out in Palestine, Ohio, is it?
Yeah.
Who are this train upended itself, and Phil solved the problem last night. Though he says that you got to put a bladder in there, And,
He's a genius.
And I'm going. Phil, I think they must have thought about that already. I mean, if they didn't,
Imagine it.
He said there were 1,600 derailments last year or something like that. But they weren't all chemical spills like this.
No, they were derailments.
I know, but he says, there's over 1,600 derailments, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Probably crazy. I listened to it on the way home.
If you don't have this toxic chemicals in the train when it derails.
Yeah, you probably got a bunch of passengers. I mean, I remember the big one we had here a couple of years ago killed a lot of people. So I mean, but of course trains get derailed. That's what happens. We don't hear about them derailing as horribly in Europe, where they're going at 100 miles an hour.
That's because they actually pay for infrastructure and they keep their tracks in shape.
They maintain it.
We don't do that here.
I think I listened to the show on my way to Lodi today. I think Alan made a good point about the brake system.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Alex, you walked away real quick, but yeah, the brake system, how they are supposed to have changed brake systems, and there's one company that has not changed brake systems, and that's sort of an issue also.
Yep.
Wow.
This is because Trump overturned it.
Yeah, Trump overturned it, so now all of a sudden they didn't have to, so they didn't, because that's going to cost them money to change over. So,
wow.
Not that would solve everything, but just one other issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just I just don't know why we have all these problems. Why this? It's just we don't take care of our infrastructure.
Right.
That's because the corporations rule the country, and their main goal is to make as much money as possible.
Why is
Spend
it we pay such obedience to the big companies, to the corporations? Why do we
Citizens
give
United.
them? Huh?
Citizens United.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
And there's some memes going around about the churches. You know, there was a Jesus commercial during the Super Bowl, $14 million.
No, there were two of them for a total of $14 million.
$14 million or something like that. And, you know, they make a joke saying, why don't you feed some homeless people instead of, you know, being advertising on the Super Bowl?
But,
and, you know, with
start taxing church.
Yeah, with them not being taxed and all that stuff, that's when you know you're
I think we should do an ad about, you know, like overspending and so on and so forth. And Jesus wouldn't have done it, you know.
What about Olstein? Remember he has that big arena, and then they had the floods or the hurricanes, and then he didn't even open it up to
lock the church doors.
I remember that. That was down in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this big mega church.
Yeah.
And they needed a place for people to stay, and he wasn't letting them in.
Nope.
You know.
Like
that was what's his name? That was
Olstein.
Joel Osteen. Yeah.
Joel Osteen. My wife can't stand him. Anytime, well, he comes on right after like Meet the Press on Sunday. And so I might be watching the Meet the Press, and then it's still on, and he's ranting away, and she goes, "Turn that off! I can't stand him."
I used to listen to like the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes is usually a nice little story, and then right when he starts getting in after the 11 minute, he starts bringing Jesus into it. And
Do you want to hear stupidity? I got to tell you stupidity. The company I used to work for, Sirius XM, which is known for its stupidity. I mean, they fired me, didn't they? But they're known for their stupidity. Here's how stupid they are. Joel Osteen does a show for them, and they're paying him $1 million a year to do it.
Wow.
Now, wait a minute. Shouldn't this guy be paying them? I mean, there isn't a TV station in the country that carries Joel Osteen that says, "Oh, how much can we pay you, Joel, to have your show on our station?"
That's a lot of money. My God, they're giving him $1 million.
I think it's $1 million a year. That's what I read.
They could have had you for $250,000.
They could have had me for $250,000.
And it's the same story. What can he say that's any different? It ends the same. It begins the same. I mean, come on. Crazy.
Well, the guy's got a good scam going for him.
What I don't get is, does he have that much of an audience that they pay? That he must then give him $1 million.
Just look at the arena that he has. That thing's full. It's huge. So that's only there, and then it goes over TV and then any other things.
Yeah.
That's big enough to play the Super Bowl in.
Yeah,
it's not that big.
That's gigantic.
It is gigantic.
It's like an old sporting arena, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I've seen that thing and they show the audience, unless they've got like stock shots of an audience when it was filled once, that's possible. But if he does fill that all the time like that, I'm going, whoa.
Yeah, I think he does.
Whoa, you know.
I remember they had 60 Minutes, and this was like 10 years ago about how he does his set up his sermon and all that stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Big business.
Yes, Alan?
Time for me to go take care of Mom. Everybody have a good weekend. Good night.
Okay, goodbye. Go say hello to your mom for me.
All right, Alex. Thank you.
Okay.
She actually knows who you are.
Huh?
She actually knows who you are.
She really does. Really?
She remembers you from the Bay Area.
Yeah, she probably listened to me when she was a teenager.
Well, she's older than you. She's 90, so maybe. Good night.
Good night. So, Kevin, again, another one of your videos popped up on my queue on YouTube. You're getting very popular. Well, you know, you got more. You got more people now watch one of those videos than watch one of my videos.
I have no idea why.
Well, no, it's because you've got a lot of families that, you know, say, hey, my kid's on, you know, they did a video about them, go watch it, you know. You're doing a real service there.
I know the kids watch them a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah. Maybe I should start putting marching bands on this show, you know. Who knows?
Open up with a marching band. That'd be awesome.
That would be good. Yeah.
I have one video that has
The neighbors would
111
love that at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, right.
What were you going to say?
I have one video that has 111,000 views.
Really?
Yeah, my wife was in this can dance thing like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
With all these French women, and it has 100. And I videotaped it, and it has 111,000 views.
You see, that's what I need. Can
12
girls
years ago.
and a marching band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2010. There you go.
I have one that I put up years ago that has, I'm up to about 20,000 on it. But it was a thing about Ibiza. And also I had another one that got a lot of views, which was Burning Man. But, you know, was that the last time you got that many people watching one of your videos?
Yeah, 111,000 so far in the last 13 years.
13 years?
10 years. 10 years.
10 years? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's that's not bad.
Yeah,
You know.
not bad at all.
Did you monetize it?
No, my channel's not monetized, and they won't on that channel because it's got stuff they can't monetize. I have to move it somewhere else, but then
What
I
do you
lose
mean
all
it's
the
got
views.
stuff they can't monetize?
I don't know why it's not monetized. They just told me they won't.
I think
do
you
it.
have to have 10,000. You have to have over 1,000 subscribers before you can start monetizing. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that many
Oh,
subscribers.
see, that's the reason why.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff that says it's copyright, copyright violations and stuff because, they're rearranged by the director at the school, but the original thing I didn't get permission from the writer of the song or whatever.
High school kids of that age,
monetize it because of the copyright.
it's amazing because I'm not putting these kids down, but high school kids, a lot of them don't play that well.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's a little discordant. All right, would you agree with that? So I don't know how their algorithms decide that you're playing, I don't know, the theme from
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
How can you decipher that? That's what I
There's
wonder.
something you can do, but I tried it once and it didn't work.
Well, they say that they're not going to take it down. You just can't monetize.
Right. But I heard that if you take a song, say it's getting copyright, and then you take the song and you throw the pitch off by so much
Short it, yeah.
that it will get past the algorithm. But I tried it once and it
Surprised
didn't.
it hasn't
And
done
it
that.
said, "We know what you're trying to do," So, yeah. Oh no! If you play a copywritten song, if I played one right now, it would demonetize this. Lately, they've been demonetizing my shows anyway, and I have no idea why. They weren't shows that had 4-letter words in them or anything like that. They're just insane, So, I don't know.
You don't get your 0.4 cents.
Last night's show was demonetized. Yes, and exactly.
Was Phil on?
Yeah, he was.
That's why. There you go.
No, but it had nothing to do with politics or anything like that.
No, it's just the fact that Phil was on.
I see. Is it that Phil thing they've got going, where if you have Phil on your show, you get demonetized just because it's Phil? I see.
Phil Meyer, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a Phil Meyer clause in the YouTube terms and conditions.
Yeah, right. Have you ever read the terms and conditions? No. Have you ever read the terms and conditions of I love the Amazon license or the Apple TV, Apple license? Oh, man.
It takes 3 years to read it.
And they'll just say, just accept it. So you just accept it. But you don't know that in there it says you're going to give away your first child.
Did you see the South Park they did about that?
No.
Yeah, they just clicked accept without reading it, and Bill Gates came and grabbed all the kids and did some really nasty stuff. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really nasty.
Did anybody watch this week's South Park?
Yes, about the royal
about Markle and all that?
I watched last week's. Yeah,
That was great.
Harry and Meghan Markle.
Yeah.
And
We want privacy. We want privacy.
yeah, but they kind of didn't play him as being British. They played him as being Canadian.
Right, they had the Canadian heads.
Yeah.
Oh, with the mouth.
Yeah.
Because they had moved to Canada.
Yeah, and it was very funny. It was very funny.
Great. I like it when Harry lifts up her head and looks down and like, hello, hello. It's like an echo. And
and what do they keep referring to her as, that bitch?
yeah.
I gotta watch it tonight.
Yeah, you got to watch it. Yeah.
They get away with everything on that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they predicted a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
Them and the Simpsons.
You know, I heard you talking about Larry Ellison about a year ago. I knew where he kind of lived, and I looked on Google Maps.
Just look for the koi fish.
Yeah, it was a Japanese-style place, so I found it super easy on Google Maps, and then I just followed where the road to the entrance was.
Yeah.
And I was out riding my bike, and I went to the gate on Home Road where he lives.
Yeah.
And I was like looking around, and this voice comes and goes, "Hello, can I help you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just resting here." I was riding my bike. Okay, well, please move on.
Oh, they're really.
I don't know if it was Larry Ellison or
I
not.
doubt if it was Larry Ellison.
No, I think it was like some guy that works there.
Do you think he answers his own doorbell?
No.
No, I don't think so. Oh, hey, let's look at our ring and see who's out there. You know. Yeah.
When I worked at a software company, we got a guy on their board was Joe Graziano from Apple, the CFO, and his best friend was Larry Ellison. And I never met Larry, but he would talk about him all the time. And they both had multi-million-dollar cars stashed
he's always been known in Silicon Valley as the major asshole.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem to care. He says, "I've got all this money. Fuck you."
Oh no, he doesn't care.
You know, he doesn't care.
He's got so many houses too. I mean, I don't even know how often that's his main home, but I don't think he's there that much.
Well, but the koi fish are there.
That's where the koi fish are.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I was looking through the fence. It's acres and acres. It looks like the Japanese tea garden in Golden Gate Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Woodside,
can see
right?
it on Google Maps.
In Woodside, Ray? In Woodside?
Yeah, in Woodside on Home Road, between Whiskey Hill and
You know what I never could get? Did you ever like the Japanese tea garden in Golden Gate Park?
When I was a little kid, I used to like.
When I was a little kid, our school would always say, "We're going to the Japanese tea garden." Now, what kid wants to go to a Japanese tea garden? You know,
it was kind of boring.
Yeah, I'd rather just go over to the aquarium and see the big skeleton of a whale.
Oh, it's nice to go the first time.
I felt the same way. I'd go just to my grandmother would bring me, and then I'd ask her if we could go see the skeleton.
They have this place, in case for people who are not in San Francisco, they have this place in Golden Gate Park called the Japanese Tea Garden, and it's a Japanese tea garden. You know, you walk through it and you go up these weird.
That was
bridges.
the big thing, was going over the bridges.
Yeah, right.
That was fun.
Yeah, and you know, I guess it was fun for a kid once or twice, but then every year it was, "We're going to the Japanese tea garden. Have your parents sign this thing, and you can come with us."
Let's go stamp the fish.
Yeah, right.
We've been at the Young Museum all the time. I lived in Red City.
Yeah, but then they also had the what do you call it? The aquarium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I got to tell you, this was very funny. So I'm working at the Camel in San Francisco, and they decide they want to have a party for advertisers and so on. So they hold it at the San Francisco Aquarium. Steinhart Museum, Steinhart Aquarium.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm I go to it, I walk in, and I'm somebody walking around, with a plate full of food and stuff like that. And they said, "Would you like some?" And I said, "Well, what do you got?" And they said, "Sushi." And I'm thinking to myself, there are all these tanks around us with all the fish swimming around us, right? And this person's trying to have me eat sushi. And I wonder how those fish felt about that. You know,
Just to throw shit at the crocodiles. In the
I
middle.
would say you serve steak at something like that. You don't serve fish.
Very disrespectful.
Yes. And in fact,
Gator jerky.
I saw our general manager try to save some money by fishing into one of the tanks, but you know. But anyway, so that was when we grew up. The
We
big
used to
thing
go there and wasn't it when the kids used to go over to the crocodile thing in the middle of the middle of it
and throw pennies on
the
them.
pennies.
There were
Yeah,
all these really tired old alligators.
Yeah,
walking around with goddamn pennies on their backs.
But they never moved. They looked dead.
Never fucking moved.
Never moved.
The only time they moved was when a kid fell in there.
Yeah.
I just went to the Young last week to go see the Ramses 2 display.
What was that? What was that? A whole display of condoms? What?
Yeah, Egyptian. You know, Ramses the Great.
Oh well,
like
Ramses to me were condoms when I was growing up.
Yeah. Ribbed for her pleasure.
I could never figure out why they named a condom after an Egyptian king.
Well, if you saw him, you'd know he was well hung.
Oh, I did read that thing that Phil told us about last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was in the New York Post. That's why he saw it. Okay, and it's the penises have gotten larger over the last 50 years by about an inch and a half.
Wow.
But they say it's not for good reasons. It's because of binging on what do you call it? McDonald's hamburgers and things like that. Fast food. And the other was one other reason.
But when you eat fast food, everything grows. Your stomach, your legs, everything.
No, but your penis should kind of get shorter because you're getting fatter around it.
Well, you just can't see it, so it starts getting smaller.
Unless you eat a lot of Der Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh, that was good. What?
Home of the Whopper, a whole new meaning.
Yeah, home of the Whopper. Yeah. I had one too many Whoppers. No, the average length was what was it? The average length 4.5 inches or something, and then today it's like almost 6, something like that. Yeah. So I'm going.
4 inches.
4 inches is average.
I'm going to bring it up to my oncologist Monday.
You're gonna bring it up to who?
I got my oncologist for a scan, to see how the seeds are.
Mm-hmm.
I won't ask them that. They were probably laughing when they put me under.
You have an oncologist? Oh, you have cancer?
Yeah, he had prostate cancer.
Oh no! Shit. Don't start this again.
No, I don't want to hear about it. I'm tired of it.
And I got to see an oncologist next week.
Oh boy. It's blood, right, Alex?
Yeah, this blood work came back kind of a little weird on one thing, which my doctor says 10% chance it's anything.
Don't even worry about it.
But we're sending you to the hematologist oncologist because it seems that and I don't know why, most hematologists are oncologists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I never could figure out why. But anyway, when we were growing up, did they have oncologists, or is that a fairly new profession? Well, I didn't get an answer on that one. What?
They're more sophisticated.
What did you say?
They're more sophisticated.
They're more sophisticated doctors, I say. But anyway.
The sophisticates.
Well, do you think, let me ask Josh this, Josh, do you think maybe there's a good chance that they're finally going to charge Trump with something? Or do you think he's going to skate on this one, too, the thing in Georgia?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I think they probably will because they probably should, and they probably have to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My natural inclination is to almost believe that it won't. They won't. That it'll just go away or whatever. I don't know. I mean, if they are, I think, they should probably get moving on that pretty soon. I honestly don't understand what takes, forever to get these things done. I mean, I don't know why someone commits
Well,
a
I guess
crime
they want to feel that if they're going to nail him,
years ago.
they better have the goods on him,
Well, right, but I mean, after a couple of years, how many more goods you gonna find? I mean, they need to,
Oh no, absolutely.
move
They
on.
got him
But I mean,
confessing to crime.
I don't know. I don't work in that field, so maybe someone who does is hearing me say that, and it's offending them or whatever. I mean, I understand. So I mean, but it's just. I don't know. I kind of lean toward no because it just seems like no one wants to deal with the firestorm that'll come along with it.
But they say
they finds it inconvenient and moves on.
They say that this grand jury has found that one or maybe more people were lying when they testify. They committed perjury.
I'm sure they were.
So everybody's sitting around saying, "I wonder who that is." Well, I'm betting.
Well, I'm sure.
I'm betting
many people lied to him.
I'm betting it's Giuliani.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I'm quite certain that probably happened. There's no doubt because some of these folks are so arrogant and so, stupid that they think that they don't have any evidence to the contrary. But I'm sure that they do. But the question is are they ever going to cash that in? And if they lose in the court, then they lose. But you've got to, if you really believe that a crime was committed, then that's your duty and that's your job. Then you need to do it. Now this prosecutor may very well do that. I mean, I'm not accusing her of not yet. I'm just saying. But if you get a grand jury indictment, which it sounded like they did, right? Maybe I didn't understand it, but not really an indictment, but I guess they recommended one, right? I mean, is that, I don't know how they really work it down there, but.
Well, a grand jury, I think, indicts,
Right.
Yeah.
So like if you have that, and I think we've seen enough evidence to know that they have that, obviously, because we've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to also have more. I mean, they obviously have more than what we've seen. Then I don't know what the holdup is, I mean, and if that happens, then he has to go to court. I mean, he's not going to be able to claim anything about anything.
Well, I mean, this is on the Georgia thing. He's also got the federal stuff with with January 6th and also the stolen documents.
I mean, but the Georgia thing, it means that he has to go to court. He has to stand trial. I mean, he won't plead guilty, but that he has to. I mean, because you can't. It's not like Congress, contempt, and I'm not going to testify. No, I mean, if you're charged with a crime, you have to go to your trial. I mean, the only way that he would get out of it is, that he resides in Florida and it's in Georgia. If if Florida refused to extradite him and he never left the state, right? I mean, that's his only option. But I don't know if Florida would do that or not.
Well, wait a minute. Let me think about this for a moment. The DeSantis is the governor,
right?
And he's thinking of running against Trump.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do anything to stop Georgia from extraditing him.
Probably not. That's I would agree. So I mean, like that would be his only, way out, I guess. But I do think that if they do, honestly, I think if they charge him with a crime, that it'll be fake. I think that they will reach some sort of agreement or whatever, and it'll be nothing. Like seriously, I think it'll be a joke. Like when it's all said and done, he'll get like 30 days probation or some stupidness. I mean, I just don't believe that anything will happen to him until I see it. I mean,
and yet, if it
you
were
know,
anybody else, something
we'll
would have
see.
happened. And did you see that they? It looks like the Justice Department isn't going to go after Matt Gaetz for sex for
Yeah,
trafficking.
they're not.
Can I try this again? English is a second language now to me for trafficking, sex trafficking.
Right.
They say they're not going to charge him with it. So, is the feeling? So
They
must not have the evidence they think they need to win. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I assume. You know, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's innocent. I don't know. I didn't follow the case that closely or know all that about it or anything. I mean, he's obviously a sleazebag. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But you know, that doesn't mean he, you know, committed the crime he was accused of.
Yeah.
If you even want to call it accused, I don't really know that he was accused of it, but yeah, he's a real piece of work. I mean, look, these are the people that the Republican Party has, you know, offered up as, you know, the front men for their party. I mean, I really think, like, in 50 years from now, I really think that people are going to be looking back. People who are alive still will say it, and I know that the historians will say it, and they will say that Trump, changed the Republican Party and that he literally destroyed it, and it will somehow or another here eventually remake itself, and then we'll see what it stands for after that. But it will look nothing like it did before.
Do you think the Republican Party? Do you think
he will be held?
Yeah, but do you think the Republican Party is going to disappear? Or do you think the Republican Party is going to be replaced by something else?
I don't know if it's going to disappear, and if it is replaced by something else, they'll still call themselves that, but it will not be what it is now. You know, no different than the Republican Party now is not what it was 100 years ago.
But do you think these basket cases, as I'd like to think of them, in any way feel that they've learned their lesson? I mean, you know, I mean, like the other day, I'm watching Nikki Haley give a speech on MSNBC. Her speech is being broadcast on MSNBC because that's always what Marjorie has on. And Nikki Haley starts out her speech, and I'm thinking, she's handling herself pretty well, you know, good for her. You know, she's talking about we got to make the Republican Party a lot younger, with a lot younger people in the Congress as well, to, you know, blah, 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 blah. And she's given this great speech about how we can improve things and how things can get better. And then all of a sudden, I'm saying to Marjorie, you know, she's really on the right track with this, you know. And all of a sudden she says, and then there's that old codger, Joe Biden, and then she starts slamming Joe Biden like crazy. I'm going, she just lost me.
Yeah.
Just lost me.
Well, she's a piece of trash.
Yeah, but she was on the right track. She was on the right track until she started bashing Biden.
That's what they all do.
Yeah, but you know, if I were a Republican candidate, what I would do is at no time would I bash Biden. I would simply sell myself. Whatever happened to the person who simply sells themselves and doesn't denigrate the other guys running against them? You know? I mean, she had me for about 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden she started bashing Biden, and I went, that's it. You know? And then also she came up with this thing that every politician in Washington, over 50, should take a competency test or something like that. You know,
it was over 75.
Did she say over 75?
She said 75. Yeah.
Okay, that's because and then Don Lemon over at CNN got yelled at because he went on the air and was with these women, and he said, well, you know, I mean, what's to say that women aren't over the hill at 50?
Oh, Lord.
But what he was trying to do was he was trying to go after Nikki Haley when he said that. But unfortunately, it came back and blew him back in the face, which I'm sure he's used to anyway.
Well, that kind of stuff is up to the voters. And, I mean, we do have the right to change things as we see fit. But, you know, something like that, it is not a requirement constitutionally for office. It was not envisioned to be a requirement by our framers, and it's just, to me, it's just another example of something that Republicans want to tear down, and then at the same time talk about how Democrats hate America. You know, Republicans are the ones that don't like America. They're the ones that want to strip it down to nothing and start it over in a way that fits only them or only the people that they want to let in.
Yeah.
You know, they're not open to anything other than a return to something, or not a return to a path that only reflects what they want.
What were you saying, Charlie?
No, it was me. I was
Oh,
wondering.
it was you.
What was the requirement that you're talking about, Josh? You said there.
Having a person take some sort of mental acuity test
right,
at the age of 75 in order to stay in office or run for office. I mean,
it's
not a requirement for office. I mean, if she wants to make it one, that's a policy. She's allowed to propose that. But I'm saying that it runs against American values from our framers, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
And
what Lemon was accused of saying was that, well, a woman's over her prime after 50 anyway.
Right.
And I think what he meant was, you know, she's past childbearing age, she's past a few things like that. But today he didn't come into work. Today he was told to stay home. Okay.
Oh boy.
You can't. You know something? You're hired to go on the air and be opinionated, and when you get opinionated, you get fired. It doesn't make sense,
right.
You know. I mean, if Lemon wants to go on the air the next day and say what I said was wrong, I was, you know, speaking out of my ass on that one, then he should be allowed to do it, you know, and everybody should say, okay, he apologized. We like anybody who apologizes. But you can't even apologize anymore, because if you apologize, you're then considered guilty of what you were accused of doing, and you can't go to work the next day anyway. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, I'm just saying that when she talks, I don't hear anything different than all the rest of
the
Republicans.
No. But I thought I was for a brief.
I mean, I know that test is a simple thing or whatever, but I'm just telling you, it's one more step of a revelation of what they ultimately are. And I'm telling you, I become more convinced every day that party is slowly but surely becoming the party of fascism in America.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you that is exactly why.
I think you're absolutely correct. And not because I want to hate the Republicans on any visceral level, but I want to hate the Republicans on any visceral. I can't talk anymore on any.
Because that is what fascists do, and they never show up in a fascist suit holding up a big sign that says, I'm a fascist and I want to control you. They do it one little thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, that's the way to get there, and that is exactly what they want to do. Everything like that. I mean, you know, people are just not educated enough to pick it up on it or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, so when people ask me why I wouldn't vote for Nikki Haley, that's why.
Well, I mean, I said is that she looked like she was maybe going to try a new approach, and she didn't, you know. And I think
because they can't do it.
The Republican that is going to be able to win is either going to be another discordant Trump type, which DeSantis is capable of, or it's going to be a Republican who starts becoming reasonable. Okay, but I'm asking for too much. Anyway,
right now,
I think tonight I suddenly made English my second language. Boy. Anyway, I thank you all for being here tonight. Kevin, thank you so much. Always nice to see you here. Next time, bring the marching band with you. Okay. Charlie, good to see you here. And Josh, wonderful having you around as usual. Jeff, good to see you from Florida. Tony, good to see you from Queens. And of course, it's Brian. And then we finish off with Ray. Everybody give yourself a big wave goodbye. Toy boat. And I will say goodbye at you. Okay, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel. Oh boy, I don't know what's wrong. Why can't I speak the English language tonight? Did I have a stroke during the show or something? Anyway, I'll see you again. What is it? Monday, we're going to be back here with a thing we call the pop-up. And that'll be on Facebook. And it's a great show with a bunch of great people. And then we'll be back here again with another group of great people on Wednesday. Jack Bishop is next, right here with the Intersection. And he'll be taking your calls on Skype at Gabnet Live. Meanwhile, I'll see you on Monday, and then on Wednesday, we'll get this all straight. Monday for the pop-up show on Facebook, and then we'll see you on Wednesday at 10:30 right here. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Have a nice weekend, everybody.